So let's dive into the springs. And there are some very, very simple rules. So early in my days, I was buying that you could buy from Icon just a spring metal. So I was used that a lot, but no, these days I'm very lazy. I have a lot of the springs here. Usually I had even high quality springs. From Icon you can see how thick they are. And when it comes to the Icon springs, it's the easiest way to buy some springs, because you see directly on the spring what measure they have. You also can measure them up. It's a little tricky. Right now we will just build by feeling. And I can show you still some of my machines, and there you see they all use the Icon blades, and I usually have between 20 and 18 and 22. See, they have 222, 20, 20, 20, 22, 20, 22, 20, 22, 20, 18, 20, 22. And there's like no name. 18, 20, 20, 22. And there is not a real rhythm. 20, 20, 20, 20, 20. It's like it's all over the place. So that's not that you can say this or that is the right way. This or that is how it's done. 20, 20. You see that I have one this 20, 20. What else we have here? All the bars are gone. 20, 20. Yeah, what I absolutely can recommend you to just buy some springs. Go to Icon, buy Icon springs, because you have the number on it. They're high quality springs. Buy 18, 20 and 22. And buy just a bunch of them, because here comes the thing. What I do a lot, I reshape. I really like to reshape them. And with reshape, I mean, you see that's like some cheap springs where we buy somewhere. And I mean, here I have to pretty much feel it. But they are pretty much too wide for my taste. Same as what is on there. I would say it's just way too wide. Let's make this very simple. The harder you in the back, the faster the machine, because the machine vibrates faster than when it's soft, it wobbles. And the harder the springs, the more energy the machine takes to make the bar wobble. That means it's pretty much the same what we had before with the capacitor. Is that the faster the machine runs, the less power the machine have. And the slower the machine runs, the more power the machine have, because the slower means also that there is more time where is a magnetic field, because slower means more time magnetic field, while faster means there's a lot more times the connection broken and the magnetic field less. So that's what we're trying to do now. And this is something I absolutely don't like at all. Well, here we use now one of Angelo's special tools. Something like this, I don't know, I never used. Can put that in, but it kind of holds this. You don't need that, only to... And you see, this is even a tool you can put the things in and to bend it. But all this is all fancy tattoo stuff. We don't need fancy tattoo stuff. I just wanted to show you that I could have opened that also with just a pair of tweezers, I don't know, with something else. And you see, that is like that is how like a very cheap spring looks. There you can make like no modification because it's the same spring in the front and in the back, so it's the same hardness or softness on both sides. And what you want to do is you want to optimize, you want to play around. You want to play around with hard in the front, softer in the back, and so on, and just trying around. I usually try to never take 18 in the back, to never take such a soft spring in the back, because I want that, you know, we had that before, the softer the spring, the more likely the chance that the feather breaks. So maybe we just directly start with this, and you see that this is one bar I made myself. So you see, all what I done is taking a normal spring at 20 and I cut some parts of the sides off, because when you have like a 16 that wide and you have a 20 that very thin, it's pretty much behave almost the same. But I had a feeling that the harder spring with less spring behaves with more power, and you still keep a little bit of a speed maintains, and also the spring still holds a lot longer. Also this thing what was in have just a hole here, so you cannot really adjust anything. So let us take this away. I'm just curious, just replacing. Oh no, we don't replace this with the 20. Screw that. We don't. We make our own. That's why we're here. So I take this spring and no, it gets a little tricky. So what you need to cut springs is an actual like a metal cutter. We have multiple of them somewhere. And you see, I just cut two slices off, and you see what we done. We done this, and this springs I buy like, I don't know, that full set for like €4 on eBay, China, very cheap, just to play around, you know. I know the icon springs are a little bit more expensive, but today it's not about building expensive. Today is about building cheap. And that's what we will do. So we will take now the front. The front spring we will have to bend. But it's a different bend because it's a planned bend. So we just take it and bend it up. See, you make this just by feeling, and let's see. Let's talk quick about the armature bar as well. I prepared here something. Sometimes you want to move a little bit more forward, but we had this before. When you move too much forward, you can't, because there is like the needle have to go up. In that case, let me see, where's a smaller one? Here you can see a good comparison of a long and a small one. So you also find different lengths of armature bars which you can buy. So in the case this one is way too long, you just take one with like a lot shorter and you put that in. And I know we have a good example, because Mr. Angelo, one of our tattooists here, who not 100% learned everything from me from the beginning. He was a normal tattooist, so he was always interested a little bit in normal tattoo building. And let me show a few of the bars he was bring with him from building. And you see that? That's all like, I call it fancy tattoo artist things. And some they say, they cut that out to have the bar lighter, that it moves faster. Some make the bar even wider, like this one. You see it's wider in the front. There's even some, they are even more massive. And they, like this one, it have like the concaves in for the spring. All of this is fancy stuff you don't need. It's just more expensive. And in my eyes, you make the magic happen over the springs, over perfect setting of the machines. The thing is, then you have these ultra light things. I don't know. It's like you need that metal, because that metal is making the vibration. You need that. It's like a hammer. There's a reason why the more force you want, the more power you want with a hammer, the bigger the hammers are, the more heavy the hammers are. And you cannot expect to have the same force with a small hammer like this compared to like a bigger hammer. Because it's about the force, and sure, it takes a little bit more to hammer it on, but for this we build the machines, so you don't need this super fancy stuff or special banded things or special banded stuff. We like, actually, when I was still building machines, I was sometimes buying, like you see here, some frames I buy before, like very cheap frames from eBay. You see that? This one my daughter sprayed. But I buy them not for the frames or for anything. I buy that frames just because of like the armature bars and some little parts on it. Because all the parts which I could use are cheaper than when I would buy that parts on the special things for tattoo guns. So let's put our newly made spring in the back. This will be something between 20 and 22, because I never was buy springs who are softer than this. So also here we are trying to make this as straight and perfect as possible. It have to be one solid line, because when it's not one solid line, it will be not in harmony, in nice vibration, I can say. And yeah, so we set it, we don't have to like put it super tight in, we just put it a little bit to see how everything runs. I see what our main mistake here is already, but doesn't matter right now. We are trying to now make the semi-final setting of the spring and of the needle, the screw, the contact screw. First thing, think about the contact screw. You want have as much of a connection as possible. So we wait quick. We come to that in the next probably. Let's go quick still about the spring. So that spring feels already a lot better. So what I do, I see where I have the marking. We will go a little bit more to the front. like this. We will cut it off here, and because we don't want to have the spring stand out in the front. You don't want that. You just don't. Make it a little bit round. Okay. So that's our number one. And let's take the second machine. So yeah, you see that difference of that two things. This one is longer in the front, longer in the back. Weird. That's just like some of the weirdest things I have seen since very long. So yeah, we take another pair of that and make our own. I would say they feel all pretty soft. That was not a very good cut. So here we try to be as symmetric as possible. And so let's just see what we've done here. This part is where it's a lot about experimenting, you know. And as you see, I absolutely don't bend the back spring. The back spring, there's no need anymore to bend, because we have set everything very nice in our machine, so we don't have to bend it. And this gives us the advantage that we don't have to every time bend it. So that means every time you like switch the back out, there is some adjustment done, because a little bit bent here, it feels entirely different than with a little bit a different bend. And that is the thing. You want trying around, that means you don't want to spend the time bending around. And that's what we will do. Also, Mayo already recognized, in a lot of machines you find these rubber gums, these rubber things between the spring and the screw. And that is a thing, a lot of people in the machine, they do that. It makes the machines more quiet, but it takes so much power away. You really don't need that. And you don't want that. You want the machine loud and heavy. What means heavy? But you want the machine to have the maximum. Oh, that feels already good. Feels already very good. That's machine number one. And machine number 2. This get a teeny little bit tricky now, but not too much. So what we want is using this tool I had on before, but I damaged before because it was falling to the ground. We actually can use this one too. So we want to like make this a little bit bigger. You see that? So we can play a little bit more with the distance. And when you get yourself like a few meters of just a blade, this is the most easy way how to make the cuts. Because when you use this cutter, it sometimes rips a little bit. So the easiest way is to just take the metal cutter and you slice it a little bit. So now we are free to like play a little bit more around. Make this a little different. Okay, this runs very slow but have a lot of power. So now, because it's fun, I always like to build multiple machines in once. So we will now change the blades from each other. Because I have the feeling they will be better off on each other. Yeah, this is like where you have to just experiment around. So I will need now a teeny little bit I will not go too wild with experimenting around. Because I want to show you the fundamentals and not making the best, most running machine I ever built.
I would say really good. You have to make it a little harder. Spring, the harder spring.